Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're unpacking something absolutely fascinating, the surprising psychology behind people who completely win at life starting from absolute zero. A lot of people just assume building wealth relies heavily on luck, or maybe a massive inheritance, or, having the right connections from day one. But behavioral data actually shows it's an internal framework. It's an inside job. So let's break down the exact mental shifts that take individuals from zero to the very top. All right, let's dive right into this. Picture this for a second. Imagine two kids sitting in the exact same classroom. They're the exact same age, they have the exact same baseline education, and crucially, when they're starting out, neither of them has a single penny to their name. Now, let's fast forward 15 years into the future. It's a completely different picture, right? One of them is still struggling to pay off debt, constantly stressed out, and just living paycheck to paycheck. But that other person, they started from the exact same zero, and they've already built a massive, thriving business empire. So, looking at that stark contrast, we really have to ask, is the difference between them just money? Did one of them just happen to stumble into a giant pile of cash? The answer is a resounding no. The real difference, the core driver behind these vastly different realities, isn't money at all. The difference is 100% in how their minds are wired. Money is really just a byproduct of that mental wiring. If you want to change your financial reality, these psychological shifts we're about to explore are totally game-changing. Okay, phase 1. Owning your steering wheel. It's time to take full control. So, ask yourself, what can I do right now to win? Let's be real here. When things go sideways, the average person's very first instinct is to point fingers. They spend all their time blaming the government, blaming a bad economy, or even blaming their parents for their current situation. But people who successfully build their own wealth from scratch, they never point fingers. They operate on this unwavering belief that the steering wheel of their life is firmly in their own hands. No matter what the government is doing, no matter what broader problems the country is facing, they just block out the noise and ask themselves, okay, what can I do right now to win? This isn't just about toxic positivity. This is a tough, incredibly gritty psychological stance, where you take 100% responsibility for your own results. And taking that responsibility, well, that means equipping yourself to actually steer correctly. Wealth creators don't just graduate from school and say, all right, my education is finished. No way. They literally see themselves like a fast-growing tech startup that needs a daily software update. They spend a huge chunk of their day relentlessly learning new things, but strictly focused in 3 key areas: their specific field, human behavior, and exactly how money works. They know that this targeted knowledge is the single most powerful investment in the world because it allows them to make faster, much better decisions than everyone else around them. Moving on to phase 2, flipping problems and reframing failures. People who build wealth simply see the world differently. When an average person bumps into a problem, their immediate reaction is to complain about it. It's an annoyance, right? But true wealth builders, they look at that exact same problem and see an absolute goldmine. Because think about it, what is wealth really? It's simply the value you get back for solving a problem for someone else. People who start from zero and win big don't chase money. Chasing money is a losing game. Instead, they actively hunt for what is bothering people. They ask, how can I fix this frustration? Once you become an absolute expert at solving bothersome problems for other people, the money just naturally follows you. And look, inevitably, when you try to solve massive problems, you are going to mess up. Most people get shocked, or worse, they completely throw in the towel when a business fails or they make a major mistake. But for the self-made, the word failure literally isn't in their dictionary. They see every failure as just data. It's nothing more than a lesson whispering, okay, this specific method didn't work, so let me just try a different way next time. Every single time they fall, they get back up. But they get back up armed with brand new experience. They aren't afraid of failing. Honestly, the only thing they are truly afraid of is standing still. Which brings us to phase 3. Calculated risks and delayed rewards. There is this massive misconception out there that to get rich, you have to be some kind of reckless daredevil taking crazy, wild bets. That is entirely wrong. True winners are absolutely not crazy gamblers. They are highly analytical, very careful thinkers. They definitely take risks, for sure, but only after putting them through a rigorous filter. They sit down and coldly ask, what happens if this fails? Like, what is my real downside? And then, what do I get if this actually works? What's the upside? It's not that they don't feel fear. They're human. They feel the fear just like you and me. But the big difference is they control that fear through their analysis, and they execute and move toward their goal anyway. Now, once those calculated risks start paying off, they face the hardest psychological test of all, choosing between today's dollar or $100 in the future. See, our human brains are biologically wired to love instant gratification. We want to feel good, and we want to feel good right this second. If the average person gets a little influx of cash, the instinct is to immediately go out and spend it on food, clothes, or new toys. But wealth creators master the math of delayed gratification. When they get their first big profit, they do not run out and buy luxury cars or the newest iPhone. They know that if they save and reinvest today's dollar back into their business, it becomes $100 in the future. They completely bypass that urge to look rich because their ultimate goal is to actually be rich.
And that leads us to phase 4, mastering the money tool.
So many of us are raised to subconsciously believe that money is the root of all evil, or that people with wealth are inherently bad. But here is the psychological secret. If your mind believes money is bad, your subconscious will sabotage you and never actually let you have it. Wealth creators completely reject that notion. They don't worship money, but they don't demonize it either. They simply see it as a very effective tool. A tool that can help them live a vastly better life, and importantly, a tool they can use to help a lot of other people too. They adopt this incredibly healthy mindset, love the game of building and creating value, but never ever become a slave to the money itself.
So as we wrap up this explainer, I really want to leave you with this pivotal thought. If you can build these specific psychological traits into your own daily operating system, you can truly go from zero to anywhere you want to be. Remember the core lesson here. Before you can ever build a physical fortune, you absolutely must first construct a wealthy mind. Money is merely the result of that internal construction. The real battle, the one that truly dictates your future, is happening right inside your head. So take a hard look inward. How many of these traits do you actually possess right now? And which ones do you need to start building today? Thanks so much for joining me on this explainer. Keep building that mindset, and I'll see you next time.